Hello again, everyone. This is Derek, or Leica 101, and welcome to the second Pathfinder review product of my channel. Today, we are going to be reviewing the Pathfinder Chronicles Book of the Damned, Volume 1, Princes of Darkness by F. Wesley Schneider. It's a 68-page book. I have it on PDF, so you'll see me look down at the computer a little bit more often so I can reference it. I'm going to try to do my best to give you a really honest review of this book, because I'm going to try not to put too much of my own personal thoughts into it, because personally I really like this book, so I'm going to try to be really honest about it and not weigh too heavily on it because of my opinion. Excuse me while I take a drink. Water is always important when you're doing these reviews. Got to make sure your voice appears good and you don't stutter. So here we go. So right into the product. We've got 68 pages, like I said. However, the actual information doesn't start until page 4. So that's 64 pages of actual content, which is pretty good. So what are we going to break it down into? Table of contents. We've got the 4: Hell and the Archdevils, the City of Dis, Devilkind, Order, the Diablerie, Hierarchy of Hell, the Diablerie, and Exodus. Now, the 4 is a whole bunch of flavor text on how the god of hell, Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, however you say it. I pretty much will probably say Asmodeus, I think. We'll see how it goes. How Asmodeus and hell came about, and how he became the first demon. And it's really interesting. It takes up a couple pages, takes up 2 pages. Really interesting text, really nicely written. It's like on this, tea-stained paper almost, with nice red writing. It's pretty creepy. So it's really nice. And then we move right along into Hell and the Archdevils. In each section of a chapter has a nice breakdown with an excerpt from the Book of the Damned, which is where all this is taken from. It's pretty nice. And so I'll read it to you right now. For Hell and the Archdevils. Here order reigns absolute. Here the wicked face swift in unflinching punishment. Here beings ancient, magnificent, and wise contemplate the greatest secrets of reality. Here works and wonders that will never be known upon the mortal plane take awesome shape. And here a resident God considers the acts of every servant, castigating and rewarding each in turn, preparing even the least deserving for his role in an unimaginable future. Here is hell. Pardon me for the stuttering. That's from the Book of the Damned, The Triumph of Hell. And this chapter breaks down each of the 9 layers of hell and who its rulers is. And it also includes sections on a small section on using hellfire, which is a fire that you could give your players access to, or as a DM use against them when including demons, that has a CR3, almost seems to be alive, and cannot be put out by water, and has a seeming life of its own where it lashes out at lawful creatures. Pretty scary stuff. So here we go. We're going to try to break this down into the 9 layers. Forgive me if I mispronounce something, but these are some interesting names. We have the first level of hell, Avernus, the gates of hell, and their ruler, Barbados. Each one of these sections that I'm going to read to you is broken down into a full page layout of first the realm and then the ruler. So it's a full page for each one. It's really great. We descend to the second layer of hell, Dis, and its ruler, Dispater. Dis is apparently I don't want to say capital city of hell, but the trade city of hell, I guess you could say, where all the planar travelers like to come and congregate and sell and buy things on the hellish markets. It's pretty interesting. I never would have personally thought of a whole city in hell where other planar travelers would want to go to and literally go to hell, but it's written and it's exciting. Then we descend again to the 3rd level into Zrebus, and its ruler, Mammon, who is the Lord of Coins, and it has a nice section, I think, about including cursed coins, where any follower of Mammon, or a person who just, reaches out to hell for help could find a cursed coin that Mammon's spirit is tied to, and he knows everything that goes on because of the contact with that coin. It's pretty crazy. We descend again into Phlegethon and its ruler, Belial, who is pretty crazy looking. He depicts himself as half angelic and half demonic, so it's pretty crazy. And I believe he's known as the Pale Kiss, the Thorn Caress, and the Father of Whores. So this level is where things get really creepy, and it's like the pleasure and pain, though I think it says it's the pleasure and pain level, though its residents don't really know which is which is kind of creepy to think about. We descend again to Staiga and its ruler, Targon. And Targon is depicted as the three-headed snake, and he wields a horn of lies, and he spreads lies across the planes. So he takes any truth whispered amongst the material plane and distorts it and warps it into a lie, and then spreads the lie across the material plane. And that's how you get traitors and dark secrets and rumors across the material plane. The mythology and the way everything works in this book astounds me because it just works so well. Now we descend again into Malbegol and its ruler Moloch, and this level is for basically the warriors of hell, where all of the legions of hell are kept, and an ever-expanding, ever-training military of hell. Its ruler Moloch is depicted as a giant being in spiked armor with great horns and hellfire. And it's rumored that should he ever be depicted without his armor, there's nothing underneath but fire and charred bone. Now we're getting down into Coctus, the frozen layer of hell, ruled over by Beelzebul, the Lord of the Flies. And he was originally Asmodeus's lieutenant when he fell and became ruler of hell. And Beelzebul thought he would be, second in command, but gets kicked down even lower and into this level of hell. But everyone's afraid of him because he is Lord of the Flies and commands these creepy frozen legions of hell. So now we're into the 8th level, Kaina, and its ruler, Mephistopheles. And he is known as the Crimson Sun, S-O-N, not S-U-N. So he is the one that really focuses on contracts, and he hates everything on the material plane and wants to see it destroyed. The artwork in here is great. I wish I could show you guys some of these photos, but sadly it's on PDF and I have a static camera, so it's attached to my computer. And I can't... Sorry, door's open. It's kind of crazy. By itself, door just opened. Anyway, let's continue. To the last level, Nessus, and its ruler, Asmodeus, the Prince of Hell, or Lord of Hell, however you want to look at it. And he sits on his throne of iron and skulls and darkness. It's really great. So that was just one chapter. We've covered about 23 pages in this book. Each one of these is, like I said, greatly detailed. And we descend into the city of Dis. And this section talks solely about, like I said, the trading city of Dis, and focuses on different areas of it, such as an area called the Broken Chains, which is a mountain of chains massive enough to bind an army of titans. And what this does is it's kind of like the linkage and how you can move around. And then it has a Fallen Fortress and the inner workings, and then there's a huge map of the city of Dis on page 27. This map does not have any markings on it for locations other than the word Dis and the capital of Hell written on it. So this could be a great handout if you're using planar travel and your players go to Hell and they somehow come to the city of Dis. You can use this map and put in your own locations on it. It's really wonderful. Full color. It's all in this deep red and black. It's wonderful. Now we just now got. Keep in mind, just now got to the full chapter, chapter 2 of Devilkind. Excuse me again. This chapter, I'll be brief about it, because this chapter solely talks about the hierarchy of hell, how devils are used in hell, what their purpose is, who's important, who's not, how they advance, those kinds of things. And we just are over the 10-minute mark of this review, so I'm going to try to hurry this along a little bit so I don't take up too much of your time. Then we have Order, which is another flavor text section that talks about why hell is almost a parody of heaven in its perfect order of things, and its attempt at that. And then we have the Diablery, or Diablery, excuse me, and this is where it talks about devil worship, infernal contracts. There's a great section in here on infernal contracts, and has a mock-up for an infernal contract that you could either print out or copy or rewrite yourself and put into a cool scroll as a handout if a player was going to do that. Escaping from an infernal contract, devil talismans, sample talismans, true names, and infernal sigils. This is a great section. I'm going to be using this in some of my campaigns for having players, if they come in contact with demons, which they usually do. Demons and the gods and the other extraplanar beings in my campaign setting like to meddle in the material plane heavily, so having true names and infernal sigils is going to be really important. It also has tomes of infernal lore, evolutions of a true name, and my favorite part of this book, a prestige class called the Diabolist. The prerequisite for getting into this class is you have to have a lawful neutral, lawful evil, or neutral evil alignment, and has a special qualification that you must have conjured a devil using lesser planar ally or lesser planar binding, and successfully coaxed the fiend into performing a task lasting longer than 1 day. It's pretty crazy when you think about it, but this class has some awesome abilities. You can channel hellfire, you can have an imp companion, you get infernal charisma, which is this kind of thing where the hellish nature kind of takes over part of your being. You can get hellish soul, and you just get all these great abilities, but like I said, the hellfire thing and the imp companion sell it for me. Just imagining having a player where he's got a little imp on his shoulder, but then he's wielding hellfire, which is like the bane of all good characters, is amazing to me. And then it goes into a few infernal magics and spells. Then you have Relics of Hell, which is different kinds of books. Then we move on into a section that is called a chapter called the Diablery, which is just a chapter that includes 4 new demons and devils. They're pretty interesting. I don't want to go into them into too much detail. They're pretty high level. This one right here is a CR12. It's a heresy devil, CR12. But then there's also CR3 and CR6, and these are devils. They're called lesser hosts and greater hosts. And like I said, there's 4 of them. And lastly, we get into Exodus, which is how Asmodeus fell and why he became the ruler of hell and all of its dark and evil glory. And then that will conclude the 68 pages of the Book of the Damned, Volume 1, Princes of Darkness. What an amazing ride we have been on for the past 13 minutes. I know these reviews are kind of long-winded, but I really want to cover these in depth for you guys. To me, this is a great product. I was going to originally create each of the layers of around the material plane for my personal campaign setting, but after getting this book, reading this book, and really looking into the layers themselves and how everything works, I'm just importing this into my own campaign setting. I mean, it's that great. Everything works out perfectly. Literally, it all can be used in the Pathfinder campaign setting, and like it has been made for in Galarian, but it's so easy to port over. And the only thing I'm changing is Asmodeus is going to go from being a god to a demon who thinks he's a god. And that's the only change I'm making to it to make it fit into my world. It's great. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because right now, it's part of a series. I've got Book of the Damned Volume 2 right here. I don't want to say it's the best in the series so far, but it's a really strong opening. It's really worth it if you want to make a campaign that is all about hell, demons, darkness, if you want to have a dark-centered player, if you want that Diabolus prestige class, go for it. Like I said, it's great throughout, great writing, a wonderful Pathfinder product. It's great to see that they put as much effort into their chronicles and other campaign setting books as they do with their core books. And that is going to wrap it up for me. Pathfinder product review number 2, the Book of the Damned, Volume 1, Princess of Darkness, a 4 out of 5.